Prophet for unknown. Although for me, it's Ricky, and Ricky.
Ricky, and Ricky. Okay, I'm seeing some heroes at least, like
I see
on
the bottom
unknown
ones.
team. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Like I know what bug you're talking about. It happens. Like I don't think there's a way to fix it besides restarting, but I don't know if even that would help.
10
So
seconds
we can
remaining.
just wait it out. Unknown team, they picked Kunka and that Prophet,
5
and
seconds remaining.
I'm wondering if Kunka is going to be their position 4 or 3. Obviously, they can put it on either one of these two uh, places. They play a lot of Kunka, by the way. They play a lot of it.
I really
Um,
do like the Kunkka 3. I like it more than the Kunkka over mid. And actually, I was talking about Death Prophet yesterday and kind of wondering why we haven't seen it as much. It seems like silences are very important in today's game, where you've got someone like Night Stalker who's got that AoE silence, or you pick something like the Death Prophet who also has that AoE silence, and then Skywrath is important. Like he's picked up all the time. It seems like heroes that can produce a silence are highly contested.
Overall, that Prophet should be highly contested of a hero, in my opinion, too. Uh, why I like that Prophet the most is because it gives you
Radiant
a
team
certain plan
ban.
that you have to execute as a team in order for whatever you want to do working, right? Like that Prophet is a hero that has that big ulti that you have to play around it. The silence is great, but if you aren't playing around the exorcism, you're doing something wrong. And that Prophet pretty much forces your team to stack up together and go for these massive objectives, which
10
people
seconds
sometimes
remaining.
forget to do, right? Even in the pro scene, it puts you on a
5
timer and it
seconds
makes the
remaining.
game much easier to play because you have that metronome always ticking, right? Tick, 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 tick. Okay, exorcism is on. Let's go, boys. We have to do something. So um, things have changed a little bit for her as exorcism isn't even skilled on level 6 any longer as often as before, but it's pretty much the similar idea once you get it. On the other side, fighting pandas, they get this OD. There's multiple reasons why it's good here.
Dire team ban.
Mainly because you don't have to worry about which one of these two is mid. That Prophet or Kunkka, obviously, it's that Prophet 90%. And also, you have setup with Mirana, right? You have that astral imprisonment with Mirana. And all that said, you have Ogre Magi. You talked about these right clickers. OD is definitely one of those that benefits a lot from the Bloodlust. So, quite
10
a lot of
seconds
synergy
remaining.
coming from fighting pandas. The only thing that I see missing a little bit is these
5
huge
seconds
AoE
remaining.
team fighting spells, right? They're pretty blunt, pretty straightforward. They don't really have a lot of um, AoE control and massive team fighting abilities.
Are you certain that this is gonna be a Night Stalker 1? Like they could still move it to a 3, right? Or could they even go like Ogre 3? I've seen that a couple of times, but it's definitely been more focused in the 5 position, the Ogre.
No, you're definitely right. It doesn't have to be your position one Night Stalker, but in my opinion, that's the best way to play him right now. You can put him on the offlane, but how much are you going to do with Night Stalker Mirana on the offlane versus Scotland and Gyrocopter?
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to do a lot unless Mirana hits some
Dire
sick
team.
arrows.
Radiant team pick.
Ban the Brood and they go Omni
Yeah,
for that off lane.
yeah. Like even though that Prophet has that silence to work versus Omni Knight, he's considered one of the counters to that Prophet in a way because you have that ulti to pop every time she uses exorcism, and you can fight around. You can fight around that. Heavenly Grace, obviously, is just an amazing spell
10
at the moment
seconds
too,
remaining.
and you have a potential to be aggressive
5
on the
seconds
offlane. It
remaining.
all depends about how Omni Knight builds, but it pretty much depends on those few starting items, right? If you have those few starting items that are more on the aggressive side, you can definitely pressure Gyro and Kotl with Mirana on your side. But then again, it doesn't have to go that way. You can still just go into the passive mode and pull creeps.
You may
Oh,
now select
all
your
right.
heroes.
This is what I was thinking. Um, that Prophet sometimes is played in some awkward ways in which she's not mid, and it looks like the Tinker will be our mid. I assume so, at least. This will be Tinker mid and some most likely some dual offlane with that Prophet there. Um,
Yeah, a
I'm not
ton
a
is the
fan of
mid.
this. Yeah, not the fan of this, but you know, it's always interesting to see. There was this dude in Europe. Well, he's from CIS. He was Russian, Ukrainian, Belarus. I don't know, something like that. He was pretty much like 35 years old, and I haven't seen him in a long time. I guess he stopped playing because people were trashing him that he's too old. Every time, like, I understand a bit of Russian, and basically every time he would be in my team or the enemy team, people would flame him for his age and the fact that he only plays that prophet, and he played it on offlane. Like, he was that prophet offlane to the grave, you know, like played it his whole life for like 6, 7 years straight, and it did work sometimes, but this hero was much stronger in that aspect like a few years back, and I'm wondering if it will be able to um, succeed on that lane again. Yesterday it was Envy that played it on the safe lane, and it was goddamn horrible. I'm gonna tell you right now. I love Envy. Well, Envy is Envy. Let's put it that way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But yesterday his Dead Prophet definitely didn't have a great game.
Well, I'm looking because you're talking about the Death Prophet being the offlane, right? But
Yep.
it's Wiz who's on it, if I hope I'm saying that right, and he's the 4 position.
I mean, if he's 4, it should be like a dual lane on the offlane, right? With the Dead Prophet. That's the idea, I guess. But we'll see how they roll. It's going to be Kunkka plus Dead Prophet on the offlane. Which one of these is going to farm? We'll see. But it looks like it will be the Kunkka. By the way, you said that you love the Kunkka on the offlane, and I like it, but as long as it's not countered hard. If it's countered, this hero just feels so lackluster coming out of the lane. When he gets that boat too late, when your X marks the spot isn't really high enough of a level to make an impact, it just doesn't feel too good, right? It's how I feel it, how I've seen it happen before.
I mean, maybe I love him just because I see, because I cover too much Chinese Dota, and it seems to be a popular pick there, and it seems to be successful. Especially yesterday for IG, it was disgustingly successful.
Yeah, I don't know what IG has done, but they're on fire right now. Top lane, we might see some brawl.
And they've got the Fire Blast as well as the arrow onto the Kunkka. Snake King and AUI trying to get greedy. Won't be able to get the kill, but they've also got EE. And Envy already queuing up that Ags later on. Ready to get into that quickly.
Yeah. Already that point booster is queued. Yeah.
The battle begins.
Actually, he's going for power strats. Usually we see phase boots on Night Stalker, but power strats are pretty much fine, in my opinion, too, because not only the strength that you get and the attack speed, you can always use an extra few voids, right? And mana is an issue for this hero later on. Actually, all the time mana is an issue on Night Stalker.
And sometimes it seems like he's just short of having that one more void that he needs to secure a kill.
Aoi and Snake King, they're looking at completely pressuring these two out of the lane on top.
And they've got the arrow to follow up the Fire Blast already, and that's exactly how they started it before. Wish trying to do as much damage as he can onto Snake King, who's just throwing right clicks in right now, and a salve already popped by Greedy. So the pressure coming in from the 2 supports to help open up this lane for Envy.
Yeah, Envy is having a blast. He's just free farming at the moment. And now, Wish. He might be dead.
Fire Blast, arrow comes in. Prada, meanwhile, though, right before they get the kill onto this Death Prophet, they were able to get first blood on the Omni over bottom.
I was actually just about to praise Moon, because I think he's one of those players that can definitely play 1v2 on the offlane and have a decent time, but Kotlin and Gyro, yeah, they're definitely fearsome, and if you don't get any help from your position 4, you will feed sometimes, and sadly it happened before they took down that Prophet on top.
So we didn't talk too much about the Tinker, but you were excited for the pick, and what makes you so excited for this Tinker pick through, within this lineup and potentially against this Fighting Pandas lineup a little bit later on. Is hold that for a second. Greedy
Top lane, yeah.
might be dead. He's getting chased down, and yeah, Snake King's going to be able to get the kill. Fire Blast and arrows are the combination that's doing it right now.
I mean, it's such a problem when you're playing a dual lane versus a Mirana tri-lane, right? Like, you have any sort of a setup for that arrow, and it's just difficult to do anything. You can see that
Look at
Vish
this.
and Kunkka, they're level 1. They're definitely struggling super hard. And back to your initial question, like, what makes me excited to see Tinker not Tink? I hate Tinker. Like, I don't like seeing Tinker a lot at all. But I haven't seen him in a while. Like, he's not... I mean, we see him here and there, an odd Tinker here and there, but not really very often. And because of that, I'm always happy to see a different strategy, a different approach.
Another arrow on a
Top lane,
Wish.
yeah.
Yeah, he's getting chased. They're looking for the Fire Blast. They also have Bloodlust to put on Snake King, or even just on the Ogre himself, if they don't find this Death Prophet again. But a good job getting through those trees and avoiding the Mirana and the Ogre completely.
Yeah, he's avoiding them, but he's avoiding getting any experience too, because he's still level 1. That's a problem. On the offlane, on the dire offlane, there's a solo Omni Knight, and he's level 4 already. Like, he's done much more on his own lonesome than these two have managed to do for their own teams. So it's definitely a problem when you have a tri-lane on one side and your offlane is doing better than the enemies.
Yeah, Moon just securing everything he can at the moment, while Death Prophet just hitting that level 2. But it seemed for a second Death Prophet might be in trouble once again, and Kunkka, he's also... they're so far behind in this duel lane. And could this really... Like, could this just be the little bit Fighting Pandas need to snowball this lineup out of control for themselves? Like, just having the Death Prophet and Kunkka behind like this?
I think that's a major issue for Team Unknown, definitely. Not only because they will have a very weak Death Prophet and Kunkka, but because this Night Stalker will have everything he needs to start rotating early on. Because remember, even though he's position 1, he doesn't necessarily have to be stuck farming all the time. Once that night time is there, you can start rotating. And Tinker, you love to fly over that little gadgety guy and take him down early on.
Wish just getting hit by UI, and he's about to hit level 3, so in terms of experience, he's ahead of both these offlaners for the side of Team Unknown, and they are far behind already in experience. Yeah, they've got the arrow to follow up the Fire Blast from behind. Snake King will get the kill on a Wish, so again, this Death Prophet just unable to really do anything in this lane, and at what point do you just kind of maybe even leave the Kunkka by himself, or are you just hindering his experience at this point?
Yeah, but the thing is, you're a Death Prophet position 4. Exactly what are you going to do on the map if you leave the Kunkka? That's my question too, right? Like, you can leave him, but how will you contribute anywhere else? That's the question. Kotl may be rotating top.
Yeah,
Might
he's gonna
help
try and
them,
help
but
out. Torrent, that's gonna land onto the Ogre. They've got the Crypt Swarm, another Fire Blast thrown to the Kunkka. Does Snake King have an arrow? Not for another 9 seconds, but even with the rotation of the Coddle, I mean, that doesn't turn into anything.
They pretty much decide to go back because it's nighttime and Night Stalker is pretty much very close, right? That on that lane pushing in, so he could rotate in and get a couple of kill secures. Can't fight them any longer, even with the Kotl, sadly. They're definitely in a rough spot at the moment. They have 2 supports without any control that aren't able to do much. However, Gyro.
And they're bringing the Gyro in as well. This is 4 heroes up towards the top lane, and it should turn out to be a kill onto the Ogre Magic. They don't need the Torrent, but it's not like he's getting anywhere quickly, and they will finally secure a kill in this top lane, but that just opens up you know, the lane for Moomiander over bottom.
Yeah, it's not like he didn't have a free lane already. He's level 5.5, just chilling, farming on his Omni Knight, but now it's going to be even better for him. However, I think something was necessary. Something like this was necessary to be done because they were losing... they were pretty much losing 3 lanes. They weren't doing well. I mean, Gyro is on top of the network, but it's Gyro. He should be there, you know. While Omni Knight was doing quite all right, he was still getting levels. Top lane was a disaster, and mid lane it's just the Tinker farming the jungle. So they had to make some sort of a rotation happen. Greedy.
Yeah, looking for the arrow. Snake King's not actually going to land it. You will get around greedy Moomianders here as well as AUI, so they've got some lockdown to the Fire Blast Moomiander here. Just trying to secure that kill as Purification in a second to do so much damage, and will get that right click to secure it for himself. So, you know, they bring 2 heroes down here, and now AUI and Snake King disrupting multiple lanes. And yes, it was the Kunkka who came down here and swapped with the Gyro, but they're still making that Kunkka's life a living hell no matter where he goes.
I'm surprised they aren't pressuring this tower a bit harder. They're not attacking it. Mirana has a Basilisk, so I was actually expecting her to stand next to the tier 1 and hit it, but yeah, they will still deal significant damage to the tower, maybe even take it down. One good thing for Team Unknown is the fact that Jaro is farming now on the top lane, which means that Night Stalker isn't really free to do whatever he wants anymore. He has to rotate away from the top. That's a small victory at least.
Putting some pressure onto this mid-tier 1. At least trying to, with EE and AUI rotating over, as well as Bryle. They're bringing everybody over. They've got the Void onto a ton, and he's trying to run. Silence comes out onto 3
nice
heroes.
silence.
They get the kill on a Snake King. They'll lose the Tinker. Now they look over at Widge, who tries to take out the OD, who gets away with low health. Greedy now. X on EE. Will land the Torrent. Cryptstorm comes in. It's a bit of damage, but he should be able to run, or, well, maybe he won't be able to with Prada coming in with the Blinding Light, pushing him back, but again, into the trees, and both he and the Ogre will TP away.
I have a feeling one of the best items for fighting pandas in this game is going to be Teleport Scroll, because if you look at Team Unknown, how many stuns do they really have? What do you have? You have a missile, and that's pretty much it. You have nothing else. Like, X marks the spot, can interrupt it, but this early on, and only level 1 obviously on Kunkka, it doesn't really contribute to much control. You can control 1 hero, and that's it.
Yeah, the control is heavily lacking. And that could be a problem later on. Like, you know, they're going to be relying on X or Torrents, as well as maybe a homing missile that lands. Obviously, Tinker is going to need 25 to have the mini stun on the missiles. So, I mean, it is a long ways out. Gyro bottom, hit with the arrow, the leap in. They're trying to get the kill onto the Gyro. They'll get the call down out. They won't find the kill on Gyro.
Tanky.
Yeah. It's early on already with 1200 health and 13 armor.
He's on top of the network charts. He's pretty much doing the best that he can on his side. He's definitely keeping up with the Night Stalker and OD. But he's going to need help from his Tinker too. Tinker that has been shut down a little bit. Like, his stacks were interrupted but not taken away from him. So he did find that farm. And he will have those travels, let's say 10-11 minute mark.
Get those travels, move around the map, try and help out your team. You know, when they bring 3-4 heroes over, you can probably get that +1 with the Tinker and maybe secure a couple of fights if you've got the numbers advantage, and that'll really help them get back into this in terms of experience.
You know what? The only problem that I see happening in the future for this Tinker is obviously the Night Stalker. You hate heroes that can get on top of you easily. And Night Stalkers, what do they do at the moment? Aghanim's blink BKB, right? And after that, perhaps a Nullifier or something similar. Basher, but most likely Nullifier. And this Tinker is, I don't know, he's going to be hurt quite a lot, because you will have that Night Vision going in favor of Night Stalker, and then also you will have the Night Stalker on top of you. It's not an easy Tinker game, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you get, you know, silenced, what do you do as the Tinker? How do you even get out of there? And I mean, it just seems like such a, it could be a good Tinker game if he finds the right positioning and if he, you know, recovers a little bit here. But if we see, like you said, that Blink Dagger, that Eggs, like, Night Stalker's just going to jump on top of you. What do you do?
Definitely will be difficult. The thing is, how do you usually try to deal with the Night Stalker? I'm not saying deal with the Night Stalker, because I haven't seen that happen successfully, but how do you usually deal with him is... Oh, top lane. Nah, he's fine. You try to kill him in the lane, and then later on you're playing as a team, as a pack, and you have multiple 4-staffs, right? So if he has that crippling fear, you have a 4-staff, but They don't have that right now in top lane.
Moonlight Shadow comes out, and they look over at Prada. They've got the Fire Blast that hits onto the Gyro Cutter. The Silence comes out onto the OD as well as the Ogre. Snake King jumps in. Sanities will be committed. They still don't get the kill onto the Gyro just yet, but look at EE. He's coming in to get that kill and secure it as they'll dive this tier 1 tower and look for more. AOI, he's got the stun onto the Tinker. Locked down. Astral Imprisonment is used to lock him up, and that'll keep him close enough to get yet another 3-for-0 in favor of fighting Pandas, and those are the fights that look really easy for them that we were kind of expecting.
Yeah, Darkness committed, and they just take them down super easily. There's just not enough control. I think one biggest issue for Team Unknown, that team fight, is that Will-O-Wisp wasn't ready. We praised this Scottle, it's a great hero, but it's pretty much great Will-O-Wisp. Great ultimate, that's what it is. Will-O-Wisp plus Blinding Light, and he didn't have that in that situation. Perhaps they can take down EE on the bottom lane.
Got him low on mana. There's the Will-O-Wisp. Kunkka coming over. Call down, and X is only level 1, but EE turns around for a second, so they'll have the X on him, they'll have the heat-seeking missiles, and it takes 4 heroes, but they'll secure the kill onto the Night Stalker.
Yeah, that's a pretty massive kill. You have to slow him down at least a little bit, but I'm afraid they haven't done it enough. Like, this Night Stalker is still having a great game. He has point booster, Ogre Axe, and 600 gold, so he will get the antagonist very soon. Pretty much 15-16 minute mark, if everything goes well for him. And that's definitely the timing to have it. Like, that second night will be massive.
5,000 net worth ahead, and this is certainly a problem coming into the next night in just under 2 minutes. He's also got his ulti up in 12. You know, you work with the Moonlight Shadow, then you come in Dark Ascension. Like, you can get on top of someone pretty early on, even without the Blink Dagger.
And the hero that makes all that possible on the side of fighting Pandas is Omni Knight, right? Moon Meander. Like, Night Stalker, he's not nearly as strong on his own, but you have Heavenly Grace as well. Heavenly Grace, you have also Purification, you have a mech completed on Omni Knight. He brings so much utility to this Night Stalker that Envy is pretty much going to be able to just go ham in these team fights and run down a Gyro, even though he has a Rocket Barrage and his ultimate on.
Soon to have those Guardian Greaves, so the sustain that Omni, that you're talking about is just going to be disgustingly high this early on into the game. So EE just 1,000 gold away from finishing off that. Ags, we take a look over the OD, who's got that Blink Dagger, Veil, and 3 null Talismans. And Bryle, he's had himself a game. He's sitting top of the net worth at the moment.
Envy.
Spot Envy. Yeah, they've got the X as well as the boat coming in. The silence is there as well. They'll pull him back. The boat will hit, but Moomiander comes over. And again, we were talking about that sustain. That's exactly what he's got. Heavenly Grace is placed onto the Night Stalker. He'll start to chase. Use that Dark Ascension. From behind them is Bryle. Good Will-O-Wisp locking up 4 or 5 of these heroes on the side of the Dire. And now, Rocket Barrage comes in as well as the call down. The kill onto the Night Stalker. They'll chase for more on the exit as Moomiander trying to run. These heat-seeking missiles doing a lot of damage. Moomiander in trouble. Prada, though, from behind as Ogre comes in to kill off the Coddle. They'll use the Guardian Angel and turn this for a second. They'll maybe think about crossing the river, but might not be the wisest idea despite getting the kill onto the Death Prophet as well as the Coddle.
Yeah, I was actually expecting Aoi there to stun someone and perhaps they go for an kill, but they decide not to and they just retreat for the bounty room, which is also respectable. They show some discipline. They didn't need that extra kill, not that much at all. Envy dies again in that fight, which is massive for Team Unknown, slowing down that agonist a little bit at least. It's not massive, but it's something. And also, I have to say, that whole team fight went well for Team Unknown only because that Prophet managed to silence Omni Knight, I believe even twice, not once, but twice in that whole engagement. So that was massive. He wasn't able to use Guardian Angel, Heavenly Grace, or Purification on time to save the Night Stalker.
And, EE's Ags gets slowed down a little bit, but, I mean, you still got to worry about Bryle. Seems like he's so far ahead, and as this game continues, he's going to be disgustingly hard to handle. He's going into the BKB already, like, you give him Bloodlust, he'll start to right-click away at you. Things are going to be scary.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the Night Stalker, but not enough about the OD, and that's definitely true. He's going to have that BKB also, right? Blink BKB, get on top of that. I think is all that you need to do.
They look for a Moon Meander. They've got 3 heroes here. They'll bring the Tinker up as well. So now they're going to start with that X. A ton is here to try and take out the Omni Knight, but the Heavenly Grace, I mean, he is so tanky. He's going to keep him here long enough, but not exactly a lot of heroes rotating to help in any way. They're just heading over mid and pushing, and as I say that, they start to TP. Eternal MV, he's got that Dark Ascension. He'll chase after the Gyro as well as the Kunkka. AUI will get the stun. Fire Blast out into the Kunkka. Right click's coming in from Bryle. He'll easily dispatch that Kunkka. They're still looking for more. And Gyro and the Coddle.
Nah.
Unless they land an arrow.
That was a pretty good sacrifice by Kunkka there. He used the Torrent and got Envy with it, right? And he's the only one that falls. They were looking for bigger kills. They were looking for Gyro, perhaps Tinker, as they all rotate towards that top lane. So it's overall, I think that was pretty good for Team Unknown. However, look at these wards, by the way, from the Dire, from fighting PandaS. They have such good aggressive vision. And we have that Agnes.
And they lose one over on the cliff. The Lewis is going to be used. They've got the silence onto the OD. That'll pull him in, as well as the Rock Barrage doing a lot of damage. And now the call down. Guardian Angel is going to save OD, but for how long? They look over the Gyro. Cover, they go out the Sanity's Eclipse. They'll take out the Gyro, and now they'll look for more. The boat finally finishes off Bryle. Meander trying to survive, surrounded by Greedy, as well as the Death Prophet of Wiz. Trying to get enough damage out there to kill this Omni, but it's just a 1-for-1 after everything in the kitchen sink seems to be thrown from both sides.
1-for-1, but OD dying is pretty good for Unknown. They got a lot of gold out of it. It's a massive target to take down too. He still didn't have that BKB. And fighting PandaS, I think it would be the best for them to just chill it out a little bit, wait for that BKB, and then fight with the OD, because he can definitely fall. If that silence hits properly, you can pretty much kill anyone. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, Omni Knight does have Greaves, and that will help them out in that situation. But they have to be together. As long as Moon is hit by silence too, and he uses those Greaves, they're fine. But didn't happen in that situation.
Bryle couldn't ask for this BKB quick enough. I think with that item, all of a sudden that fight goes heavily in the favor of fighting PandaS. There were a couple of heroes really low on Team Unknown that kind of just skirted away. Sentry Ward will miss this Observer right by the shrine on these stairs to the left. Definitely a different spot for an Observer, which keeps it out of the range of sentries looking for something in a typical spot.
It's the good old position 5 game, right? All about the observers. Try to get your team some vision and try to not have it warded. And sometimes you compromise. You don't really get the best ward on the cliff or something, but at least it doesn't get rewarded. So that's one of those things right there. And we have a Mirana ulti top.
Yeah, there's a bunch of heroes here for the side of Team Unknown. They'll have the silence for a second. They were maybe looking at going on that bounty, but they hold back. Very disciplined. Don't move in, and potentially could have lost the life of Eternal Envy if he had jumped in on that.
Yeah, pretty much everyone was top for Unknown, right? You have the Tinker pushing in top, and the rest of the team, they're just lurking around and farming that area. Now they're smoked up too. There's a BKB completed on Gyro, and I believe that's why they're smoking at the moment.
They're going to be fighting into a double damage and a BKB of Bryle if they hit the OD and the rest of these heroes. For right now, Snake King, he's the one near mid and by the side of Team Unknown. So they're going to start to migrate their way over mid. They'll start with the X, and his team's going to come behind. Yeah, this is a big bait coming in. Eternal Envy right behind them. We get the silence into a couple of these heroes. They take care of Prada immediately. That means no Will-O-Wisp. They look over at Wiz. The buyback comes out from the Coddle. So they're going to try and run away with this Gyro as well as the Kunkka. But can they get far enough away? Gyro pops the BKB. The Will-O-Wisp is going to be used, and now a ton. How much damage can he do from outside the battle? He's trying to throw these heat-seeking missiles. He's trying to keep his Gyro alive. The right click's coming out from Bryle as he popped his BKB. They've got the silence onto the Gyrocopter again. Starstorm falls in. They get the kill onto the Kunkka. They look for more. Gyro gets to the high ground, but that ain't far enough away. And Bryle, he goes even further to take out Prada. He fought back in this fight, and, well, he's dead once again.
That's just dirty, diving that deep to kill the Kotal again. And now they can take down this tier 2 or go back, heal up. They are pretty low, and Tinker is difficult to push into. So yeah, they respect what they've got. They're happy with it. They just move back. Overall, I'm surprised Team Unknown didn't understand that that's a bait from snaking, but only because they didn't see anyone else on the map, right? But usually, if you're playing Mirana, you are trying to be as aggressive as possible. You are trying to farm in those dangerous positions. That's pretty much the way Hero is played, because you have 3 leaps to work with. Snaking has Yules even to help out against that X marks the spot, right? So overall, I can't blame them too much, but they should be more careful when it comes to reading the movements of fighting pandas. If no one is on the map, making that move is extremely risky.
Do you think they needed to take that risk, or felt the need to take that risk, just because of how far they feel behind? Because they're smoking up again. They're looking to fight one more time, and they got to feel like this is a desperation move.
I think if you're making that risk, at least try to get a good target. Like, where is the benefit of killing a position 4 Mirana there on the mid lane, you know, on your side of the map? So you're pretty much wasting a smoke for that engagement. If you get a good pick off, perhaps you can use Exorcism and go into the pit. But you need a good pick off, not a Mirana.
The White Shadow coming out again as 4 heroes on Unknown setup on the mid lane. Got the Tinker going up towards the top shrine. Moomiander spots the gyro and kind of getting a little bit of information there to figure out where Unknown are sitting. And, you know, they sit with that smoke. They don't get anything accomplished with that. And during that time, OD's continuing to farm. And, you know, so is EE. He's going for the BKB, and now they're setting up for a smoke of their own.
Yeah, the second smoke coming from fighting pandas, but they are separated, right? Like, you have Omni Knight and Mirana. Perhaps OD will port top. He has a lot of mobility on himself, like 4-staff Blink Dagger, so he can join the fight very easily.
Radiant's bottom tower
But
is under attack.
I don't see them catching anything here unless some Yule's arrow combo happens. Alright, Greedy.
Yeah, they'll catch Greedy. They've got the Yules into the arrow. So much damage being done immediately with that purification. Torrent keeps him alive for a little bit longer, but it's seemingly only extending the inevitable. As a little bit further down, Bryle goes for the kill onto the Gyrocopter with the help of EE. They've got the silence on top of this Death Prophet. The cooldown's going to be used. He's continuing to dive past the tier 2 tower. Maybe just trying to draw him out a little bit further so the OD has an opportunity to hit away and drop the Hammer of the Sanity's Eclipse. But they get back to the high ground and are out of the hands of this Night Stalker.
They were pretty much running away from one Night Stalker, all of them. I mean, the teammates were behind him. Everyone else on Team Fighting Pandas was close, but it's a scary situation to be in when Night Stalker is diving you almost to your tier 3s and you have to retreat. Even though you're all full HP, full mana, it doesn't really matter. They're just in a really awkward spot, and look at this. They smoke up again. They're wasting so much time on their cores doing this. It's not even about the pickoffs that you might or might not get. It's about time wasted on this Gyro who's just not farming. He's just running behind his supports, trying to make some plays, and that's not the best thing. I mean, they are doing it around the bounty rune on top lane, which is kind of good if they catch Envy.
They're going to try. I mean, they desperately need this catch. The last smoke cost them about 2k in net worth. This smoke, so far, it's gone from 14,000 to 15 and has clicked over to 16,000. So, you know, just this time alone within the smoke and trying to set up a kill on one hero, maybe potentially two, you know, allows the rest of the team to just farm up and extend that lead.
They have no catch. They have absolutely no catch, no stuns. That's their biggest problem. Like, these smokes, for me, they are already obviously going to fail before you even do them, because they're how do you catch anyone besides X marks the spot? How do you go for a target? How do you go for a kill? You have to commit Will-O-Wisp and, let's say, X marks the spot to catch a support. And once that Will-O-Wisp is committed, Fighting Pandas can do whatever they want to in that team fight. So maybe for Team Unknown it's best to just chill and work with what actually is good for them. That's this defensive posture with the Tinker around your towers, and perhaps just farm until the late game, because right now they're definitely not in a dominant position which will allow them to smoke.
He finds the Tinker, who is just over bottom, and that's going to really send the signal for them to go in on the rest of the side of Team Unknown. They've got the Yules coming out. They'll follow it up with the Arrow. The Silence is going to come out onto the OD from the Death Prophet, but Brio will pop the BKB. The Yules onto Eternal Envy. He will slow him down for a moment, but the blink forward from the OD to catch even more. They want Wiz. They want to really potentially just finish this game. Blinding Light pushes the Night Stalker back. He's got the Silence onto the Gyrocopter. Death Prophet just eating these shots with the Will-O-Wisp being placed down. It's going to land onto 3 heroes. They still don't get the kill on EE just yet. And Gyro's looking to potentially chase, but that's not the way to go because Fire Blast Insanities is there. And, well, you appeared for a moment and then you were dead for 45.
Yeah, they dropped that hammer on the Gyro and just finished him off because like, he was trying to deal some damage to the Night Stalker. Yeah, he did bring him kinda low, 40% HP, but it just wasn't. It's not enough. They don't have the damage at the moment. They don't have control at the moment. This game is looking awful for Team Unknown. Their draft is pretty much the main reason. Yeah, you're playing versus the Night Stalker, but at the same time you have Kotal Gyro. They just needed to round this draft a little bit better, in my opinion, or at least play to their strengths. Sometimes, like teams, they pick a draft around which they know how to play, but they're pressured and they start utilizing some different strategies. Like all these smokes, they were bound to fail. They just needed to farm and play behind their Tinker, I believe. And right now they're way too far behind. 20k, 22k, pretty much 28 minutes in. They're not out of this game, definitely. You still have a Tinker, you still have the high ground defense, but
it's got to stay solid, though. It is going to be hard to hold that high ground down so much. And quite honestly, if they're able to kill the Tinker without buyback, they might just go all the way through onto the tier 3s and finish off the game. The Arrow hits onto Wiz. The BKB is going to be popped by Eternal Envy. They've got the right clicks coming out from Brio to clean up the Death Prophet very quickly. Solar Crest onto the Gyro, pops the BKB. They'll buy back on the Death Prophet, and now they'll start to chase, see if they can get anything on the exit, but they're already far enough gone.
yeah,
They might even look to re-engage.
They don't have any creeps. Kunkai is creep skipping on the bottom lane, so because of that, they have to go back. Greedy is caught though.
Yeah, Brio comes back, and he's going to look to kill this Kunkka. One more shot will do it. And this OD is 10-1-7, having just an absolutely amazing game at the moment, sitting top of the net worth by 5,000.
Yeah, Brile is just playing out of his mind. He's having a blast, and yeah, there's nothing really that counters him super hard on the side of Team Unknowns, and he's supported so well by the Bloodlust, by the Omni Knight. Omni plus OD, obviously, one of the combos that we didn't really talk a lot about, is very scary. Just having that hero behind you allows you to go ham, allows you to go deep as Brile was going throughout this match.
So just about having that Sanity's Eclipse ready to go again in 5 seconds. Plus he's got 40 stolen intelligence and the +2 Sanity's Eclipse multiplier. They can drop Sanities on someone and practically blow them up.
Especially this squishy Gyro. He's not too squishy, but versus that hammer, he falls easily. And look at them, they're just playing the Gyro.
Got the Yules, BKB pop, but the Arrow hits on the Death Prophet. They won't jump into that.
Yeah, not really the target he was hoping for.
You get that BKB hyper defensively, though, now down to 7 seconds. Like, just for a Yule's Arrow, that's a win.
Definitely, like what I wanted to say before even is when they were diving Gyro on the bottom lane a minute or two ago, they just baited out the BKB. BKB used, you go back. When you're playing OD, you know, one of the biggest objectives that you have to have in mind is to take down BKB timers on the enemy team, right? Because BKBs are the main counter to OD. As if you get them down to 5 seconds early on, that's a major win for you.
Now this BKB is almost at 5 seconds before he's finished off the Ags. I mean, that just shows how defensive Unknown have had to be.
And there's a full hex now completed on the OD, so he doesn't really care about your BKBs too anymore. If he jumps on top of you, you will die.
Oh, they've got the Yules. X isn't going to go back, and now Greedy caught. They've got the Arrow. That'll come through for a second, and the right clicks from Brio with the Bloodlust. And he is immediately looking for more. 4 staff forward, but nobody there for him to really right click on and kill down.
Yeah, they don't really have nighttime to work with, right? So because of that, they might be a bit. Oh no!
Insanity's coming out though. Get the gyro. Sorry, I looked over top for a second onto the Night Stalker, but they got 1-2 real quick. Death Prophet had bought back in the previous fight. Going to be dead for 70 seconds. The BKB is going to be popped by Bryle. Continuing to right-click away on this gyrocopter. I mean, this is impossible. They've got the Guardian Angel. Movie Ender maybe a little bit too close to the well there. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with that. Maybe, again, he's trying to TP out right next to the well. Bryle with the right clicks, and now they lose AUI. So 2 heroes gone. Bryle's Aegis will be popped. I might have dove in a little bit too far. Bryle tries to get out. They've got the Torrent as well as the laser. X, Astral, and the rockets in the laser coming in onto the Mirana. Won't get the kill just yet, but now they've got the silence onto the Tinker with Eternal Envy rejoining the fight. He needs to get away from this, and he'll rearm and blink away. Both comes in as well as the X onto Eternal Envy. They've got the Rocket Barrage down on him. Greedy trying to do enough damage as well, but Eternal Envy turning this around on the Gyrocopter with the silence. Is it going to be enough? Rocket Barrage. Snake King's there. There's the dagger from the Tinker. They finally get the Gyrocopter. He's going to be dead for 95 seconds. The Hex is through out onto the Tinker as well as a multicast stun 3 times will be there. A ton goes down. Greedy's dead. Triple kill for Bryle, and the only one alive for 2 more seconds is Prada.
Yeah, their push isn't really that great, but it's good enough. I believe they can take down mid-Raxes at least. I'm surprised. Yeah, we'll see if Unknown calls it right now. They're definitely in a bad situation, but you might not have to because you'll have one side at least before Gyro and Tinker are up. Perhaps they can take down top lane, but I don't think they can do much more. Or they can finish the game. Oh.
That Hex really puts a wrench in that plan.
You can't approach them. That's pretty much it. This OD, if you get out of the fountain, he will jump on top of you, hex you, and Mirana will follow up. So all you can do is just wait in the fountain until everyone is alive, and that will happen before you lose all the Raxes. So that's, I guess, silver lining for Team Unknown, but this game is over. Like you can 37k ahead for fighting PandaS. I can't really see a scenario in which Team Unknown comes back. Like, even that last fight was super sloppy from fighting PandaS. They were just having fun. I don't know if you noticed, but at one point they weren't really... They were obviously serious about it, but they weren't disciplined, let's put it that way. They were diving in onto the fountain with Omni Knight, then Night Stalker goes in, pops that BKB just to take the gem away. Then they continue fighting all that time instead of just retreating, what you usually would do. But they still win the fight, so a pretty difficult spot for Team Unknown.
Take a look at the buybacks. Only Mirana and Kunkka have it, so if in some way, some form, Unknown win this team fight, I mean, at least they won't have the buybacks of fighting PandaS to work with, and OD within the base, and now behind them, he's got the Hex onto the Gyrocopter as well as the BKB being popped. He'll drop the Sanities to start the fight. He'll take out the Gyro. He's going to be dead for 70 seconds. The Yules comes out onto the Death Prophet. They're right-clicking away at Greedy. They'll get themselves a second. They look for the Death Prophet. That's going to be 3. GG is called. In the well, Bryle goes. Guess he didn't want the 17-1 or the 19-1. Actually, he'll just survive. Never mind. And he'll right-click away, but the GG will come into effect before he's able to get that kill and even it out at 20.
Yeah, just a crazy game. In which fighting PandaS could do whatever they want to because Team Unknown has no stuns. Stuns are pretty important in this game. Like, having some sort of catch is pretty important. Position 4, Death Prophet, not a fan, I have to say. 110-3 didn't really do a whole lot. Position... You know what? Like, no disrespect, but Death Prophet and Kunkka, they're that duo that are playing, you know, that are playing pubs on high MMR, but they're high all the time and they go offlane with some crazy heroes. Let's pick Kunkka plus Death Prophet and go offlane. What can go wrong? 5 minutes into the game, 110-3, 110-3, both of them. I'm certain they had a plan behind this. Death Prophet and Kunkka, maybe they switched it up because Death Prophet picked very early on, so they switched it up to the offlane. Same goes for Kunkka, but for this to work, you need to get some sort of control on either your midder or your safe laner, but they didn't have that. They didn't have something like, let's say, a CK or Raid King or I don't know, Sven, you know, some heroes that contribute to that initiation. There was not one hero on Team Unknown that can build that blink and be that offensive catcher, because remember, they had like 3 smokes used consecutively, and they found 0 kills out of those smokes, which wasted so much time for Gyro that he struggled to even finish that Aghanims in this whole match. He actually didn't finish Aghs, so
Yeah, you never got the
very
Ags you had to
difficult.
buy back. And just at that point, are you getting the Ags? Your BKB's down to 5 seconds. It really seemed like Unknown kind of unraveled very early on. I mean, that's hard to handle. And we talked about Night Stalker being what you should try and shut down. But then, even if you try to shut down Eternal Envy, with the game that Bryle had, he's involved in 28 of the 35 kills. I mean, that's such a high percentage of kill involvement. I mean, the guy was top of the net worth, dies once in the game, almost dies twice diving the well. But, just an absolute thriller there from Bryle. And, Fighting Pandas are able to take game 1. So, for Team Unknown, they really got to come back with something different. I mean, they've got to come back with the game
perhaps.
Yeah,
Pick some
stuns for
got
sure.
it.
Yeah, you can't rely on the homie missile and X Torrent, especially when a Kunkka gets destroyed in his lane like that. So we'll see if they change it up, what they're bringing to the table next time, if Fighting Pandas can finish it off 2-0. We'll be back with that in just a moment. I'm your caster, B-Cop, joined here by Lizard, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you guys so much for joining us.